Julian, just say something.
Hey, what's up?
Okay, get ready. In 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another session of The Playhouse. Pole sana. I know it has been a long minute. Your messages have been received. Your complaints have been received. But hey, we're back anyway. First things first, let me say the YouTube channel has migrated to a new one. So if you're watching this, you need to hit that subscribe button. No, you are not subscribed before. Or if you are subscribed before, that subscription has been removed. We started a new YouTube channel. Long story, but we are back anyway. Anyway, let me get straight into it. With me, I have got a guy who has been in the industry for 20 plus years. Now, a lot of you may be wondering, who is this guy? There are guys who are famous in front of screen. This guy is your music. He's famous to the people behind the scenes. He is responsible for a lot of the music and a lot of the culture that has been there. He's been in music, he's been in media, he's been in a whole lot of stuff that you're going to hear about. Julian, unfortunately, I've not done proper justice to your intro.
That's good enough.
It has been a minute since I've done this, but anyway, we're back. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, put your hands together for none other than Julian Macharia.
Thanks for having me. Long time coming.
Dude, first and foremost, asante sana for that breakfast. Nime enjoy.
Karibuni.
An amazing, lovely home that you have here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for inviting myself and Derek to me enjoy. Now, dude, there's so much that you have done. This is one of those conversations that I am superbly excited about because I want to hear the details of how the industry has been formed. I want to hear the details behind how the media industry has morphed.
Yeah.
So, but I like starting with this first question.
Mm-hmm.
When did you fall in love with music?
When did I fall in love with music? That's a good question. For me, it's actually a very vivid moment. So growing up, my dad had music. He always played music in the house. Interestingly, it's two genres I'm not particularly fond of. So we always had country music playing in the house. Uh-huh. And that time it was a lot of the 70s, 80s sound. So there's a soul sound I like, but there's another sound, I guess the pop sound. I was not very keen of it. So my dad was crazy about music. Every album drops, he would buy, and there was music growing up. What I didn't have growing up was radio. I think I started listening to radio probably after high school. I didn't know radio much, and who knew where my life was headed. And probably that's why maybe I did radio differently, because I had no reference points. But there are two instances I remember. One time, I was listening to, let me say the other way around. So the first time I got an emotional connection with, let me not say music sound. Mm-hmm. I was in primary school. I was going, I think I was going to school, but either way I was going to enter MA3. And that time is when music
and what
sound.
What primary school
I was
in
Hospital Hill Primary School, okay, by the way. So the school I was going, wherever I was going to, probably, I remember I entered a mat. So subwoofers, I think, had just been invented because we didn't know them.
And what year is this? What?
I can't remember. But as a reference point, I was standing at the stage, and there's a matatu, I think it was on Route 46, it was called Hot Wax, one of the premium mats at the time. And PDD Mace had released More Money, More Problems, the remix. So I'm standing outside, and it was not in my nature to enter loud matatus. But I'm telling you what I heard from outside. I said no. So I entered, I sat, and I listened to that track. And at the time, I'd never heard anything like that. I don't know what it is about that track, but till today, it just does something to me. And then I got into hip-hop now. Remember, I've only been listening to country, so I've never listened to anything hip-hop. And hip-hop was just starting out. The West Coast sound in the US was picking up. So I started kind of going into that. Then same time, Capital FM, Hits Not Homework has started. Jimmy Gathu, they're playing a lot of hip-hop. And I was saying, what is this magic? I mean, the bass line, the lyrics, the rhyming, the flow, the everything.
So Jimmy Gathu was on Hits Not Homework?
He was on Hits Not Homework.
Capital FM?
He was the first host. I think he's the one who started that show. So that's how I learned about sound and hip-hop and stuff. So what I used to do is I had a small radio Then the traditional thing, you get a speaker, a freestanding speaker, put it in a pot to get some sense of sound. Because I mean, there are no systems that had subwoofers at the time. And I would just listen to FM and Hits Not Homework from 7 till 10 and just listen and listen. Then what happened is the Kenyan urban sound started.
First of all, are you the firstborn?
Me in my family? So in my immediate family, we are 5 kids. I'm the fourth born. So I have 3 older sisters, and then I have a younger brother. So I'm number 4 in the lineup. Yeah.
And you're born Tao. You're those guys of Nairobi.
I'm born, bred in Nairobi. I mean, it's I know village was just to go see my grandma, the usual on holidays. But I am Nairobi through and through. City.
Okay. Yeah. So primary, what I'm hearing from you go to Hospital Hill.
I go to Hospital Hill.
Okay. Yeah. Now this Capital FM era, okay. Yeah. Port subwoofer radio.
Yes. So this is happening within a very short span of time. From the time I hear more money, more problems, then I start getting involved in listening to all this music and sound.
So this must be around 97, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, or even 96 even.
Yeah, 96, 97 around there.
I need to check around there. But I think I'd been hearing hip hop here and there. I'd been hearing Capital hip, bits and bobs there.
Because Tupac died 96, so that means Biggie maybe the next year or a few months later.
Yeah.
And then More Money, More Problems was off Life After Death album.
Yes. So that song is the one that I would say sparked. However, now I was in Hospital Hill Primary, and on Sundays I used to attend Lavington United Church, which was very famous for production work in general. We used to do a lot of musicals, a lot of plays and stuff. So I was very involved in church. So church, I would be tinkering with sound at the back. I'd be learning drums, just all over. Yeah. Like every other kid is excited on a Sunday. Only now in hindsight, I realized what we were doing was very unique, because at the time, so we had, there was the Oye brothers. We used to all go to the same church. So there's Michael Oye, who was at KTN. There's Paul Oye, of course, who did the run K24, BBC, everything. Also Peter Oye, who was at Radio Africa, newsreader. But they had a company called Sterling Quality Entertainment, which came later. But the quality of writing and stage productions we used to do was mad. We used to write original musicals many times. So we'd just pick a Bible story and create an entire musical and build sets. So I was in a highly creative, highly innovative space. But it's only now and later on when I realized, oh my God. This is not
norm. This is not what other churches were doing.
In fact, the only other church I think I ever had that happening, there was a bit happening with NPC. But even NPC, it was older people. At Lavington, it was us, a young crowd. The only other church that was doing crazy stuff were the team, Akina Anaothoro, Sheila Murithi at Life LOF. Now they took it to the next level from a music perspective. But us mainly, it was theater work. It was production work. So that's why. So at the time, keyboard started, there was some advancement. Now you could record a beat on keyboard. In fact, the first track I ever did, I did on a Yamaha. There was a Yamaha keyboard series called PSR. It allowed you to create loops, create certain renditions, versions. We used to chop that thing up. So at the time, the music team at Lavington was Aaron Rimbui, Timothy Rimbui, myself were in charge of music. So, and you can imagine we are doing this when we are standard 7, 8. We're already making beats in church, rigging the equipment, recording onto tape. And sorry to the church, but we used to sell beats with Timo to guys. But I don't know how much we used to sell them to. We probably didn't make much money, but we tried. So we'd always say we've come to set up practice for tomorrow's service. So of course the old folks they didn't know who would make beats, and record to tape, because the PSR couldn't save. So it'll let you play as long as the keyboard is on. So you have to dump the idea. So I think that's when we started kind of exploring. So by that time it was more of a fun hobby, not really. I didn't know what we were doing at the time.
But aside church, all of this musical experience is being taught. You're learning it in church.
Yes,
in school
and,
there was not really.
Not that much. It's only now when I went to high school So this is happening when we're in Primo. It's a lot of fun. Then eventually I go to high school. Initially high school was not much. So during the holidays we'd come, have fun, hang out with Timo. But what started happening, now I went to Dagoretti High School, which had a school band. So I remember like a week into school, one day I'm coming from the dining hall. And
this is still 90s we're talking about.
This is 90s, yeah. So this should be now 19. This is 95 now. 95 is when I go to high school. Form 1, and I hear the school band playing, and I'd never had a live band other than when you're going for a walk, or and even then they're always far at the front.
In church at Lavi?
No, Lavi, of course. I mean Lavi. Now let me just put for you. Let me try and explain Lavington Church. So I don't know if you know Kaima Mwiti. He's a current host of Capital Jazz. He was just a youth guy.
Kaima was my boss.
Playing piano.
What?
Yeah, playing. So Kaima is the one on the keys in normal Sunday service. Aaron Rimbu is the one doing youth service. That's normal. That's a normal day. So the sound.
I get it.
The sound that was there. But see me, I didn't know any better. See me, I knew this is how it is. It's only when you're older now, you go to your PCA churches, you realize, hey, okay, we had musicians.
And this is then. So then you're talking, I mean, Kaima is classically trained.
He's classically trained. But this is even before he's gone for formal learning. Yeah. You have someone like Karemi Rimbu is our worship leader. You have, and sometimes when I look back at some of the people who we had, I mean, we had serious talent, but I don't think we knew. It was just, it was fun, and it was something we enjoyed to do. So when I had the school band playing, I'd never had such a loud brass. I'd never had such a loud, it was just mind-blowing.
I get it.
So I went and I saw, and then I think it was the idea, these are 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, and you can imagine they're playing trombone, trumpet, double bass. So these are things I've only seen with the army. Then it's here in this school. And the only other school I think I knew that had a band famous at the time was Starehe Boys. Because Starehe Boys had a band, and for many years they were our rivals. In terms of it was Dago and Starehe. Pretty much Patch, Nairobi school had some band, but it wasn't all that. But the members of their band today are quite serious jazz. Many of them ended up being Jacob Asio at the time, and those are these legends who are there. So what did I do? I signed up to join the band because it was just fascinating. And I think I began my journey now I would say now in more of the formal music side. So I think the first instrument I tried learning was it the trumpet? I don't even remember. But I tried my hand at the trumpet. I could play a little bit. I learned the trombone. I had a stint trying to play the clarinet. Then I eventually settled on there's this instrument called the E-flat tuba, the one that spins. So that's the one I specialized in. And I got so good, so I could read music with it. And eventually, I actually now studied music all the way. And I studied the tuba and I did it for my exam. And I mean, I used to play, I used to read. In fact, I think only me and one other guy could read music in terms of the band stuff. So funny enough, in terms of pop urban sound, computer music changed my life because I can't play. I can survive on a keyboard, but I can't say I really play. So for me, I've always been that kind of person who kind of has always floated in the musical space. But I've always said I don't think I'm a born creative or I have natural talent. For me, it's just learning like the way you learn maths or bio. That's how I've always approached music and art and stuff. Okay, there's something that you've said that is mind-blowing. I heard you say that you and Tim were selling beats. Yeah. So your first song producing is when you were in primary? Yes, at least we sold beats to some people. So there was a group called Rap Community. Rap Community was Big Kev, the late Kevin Ombajo, then Big Ted. Yes. The one most people know as a political face. So he was a rapper, but Big Ted was not a very good rapper, but he was an amazing event organizer. So there's a building called Barclays Plaza, and it has a courtyard inside, an open atrium. So they used to do an event there. They used to do a concert gig. It was the first, it's like a block party. So we used to go. Because that was now when the hip hop in Nairobi was starting to become a thing. So people needed beats. So we used to make guys for beats. And I remember Big Ted calling and saying, I hear you guys make beats. They would come to Lavi Church, Sebu, make for me a beat. So we used to do beats. But I don't think, so when I say we sold, I don't think we ever received cash, but like it was a transaction. But for us to go somewhere and hear our track playing and someone rapping over it, oh my God, it was like, we've made it. We've made it. So that's when that scene was kind of opening up on one hand. But already we understood the concept of loops. We understood the concept. Now we are listening to hip hop intensely, trying to understand.
So now it's you and Timo.
Me and Timo now. Now we are studying and crafting. Then at the time, Aaron, and we should probably have followed him, he went now deep into formal piano. So on Saturdays we'd meet. Aaron would go to the piano and just play, practicing chords, playing. As we're just saying, the rhythm, we need louder bass. I should have probably practiced with Aaron. I'd probably be an amazing pianist now. And I didn't understand what Aaron was doing at the time, but it was really weird because he was playing jazz. No rhythm, no concept. I don't know that song, never heard of it. But who knew? But he knew early on. And interestingly, Aaron was the church's drummer. So Aaron, to me, I don't know what he thinks. I think he's a better drummer than a pianist. You know how good he is as a pianist? I think he's a better drummer. I've never had anyone play drums like Aaron. Then one day he said, drummers, there are too many, and then no one sees the drummer. It was a very funny conversation. He said, I'm gonna practice my piano. But of course, I learned later that apparently he had done some formal learning when he was young. Then, because their family is musical, then he kind of dumped it for a while. So I think he was feeling now that's his form of his expression. Of course, innately, that's truly what Aaron is about. It's about the keys, crucial keys. But those days, Aaron was just, he was just, we didn't really know where he was heading. So Timo and I, we knew we're going to be the next bad boy. We were very clear.
So did you guys form a group? Did you form?
Yes, we did. We had a group. We formed a group called Born Twice, production unit.
Let's
Born Twice. Yeah.
So the first. So tell us a little bit about this Born Twice, the birth of it.
Okay, I don't remember, and maybe Timo will have a better recollection. I guess because Timo and I just formed a bond when we were young. I guess we loved the music. Timo is a better musician than I am. I think the only thing maybe I had over him, I was better with rhythms. I knew how to make beats program. I was just better at that. But he was more musical and stuff. For me, I knew I could hear things in my head, but I always struggle till today, like getting the sound out of my head. It's something I'd always struggled with. So he was better because we've had like proper keyboard skills. So me, I tended to veer more in terms of the programming, the sequencing, in terms of rhythm, the more technical side of the music. So understanding the gadget. How does a gadget work? How do you do this? Then you can play, Aaron, we need keys here.
Yes, okay.
So that's how it was. In fact, initially Born Twice was the three of us. Then Aaron fell off. So when we formed Born Twice, it was the three of us.
You, Aaron, and Timo.
And Timo. Then, but we were beneath Aaron's musical beneath prowess and sound. It's just really, it's just hip hop. So he kind of faded off. So Timo and I said, let's keep doing this thing.
So now, class 7, class 8, Form 1, through Lavington Church, there's a friend of mine called Julian Macharia. He's not like very senior. He's at Energy, CG Royal Media. He's been there, done that.
Dr.
Rekebisha, for those guys who don't know him. I see him at Energy, the radio, and he looks so cooperative, but he was an MC. So him and I had another racket where we thought we'd end up designing shoes for. Julian and I became pals because we thought we'd end up designing shoes for Nike. So that's how he became my pal. So Julian had an entire catalog, like he had drawn shoes, because at the time basketball was really hot. So even me, I used to draw shoes at the time. So eventually he discovered after church, he also liked music. And now Julian and them, they were a bit more tuned. So they had another hi-fi stereo in their house. So after church, we'd dismantle it, because these folks have gone to Randa. We walked back to Lavington Church, pick the stereo, go back and make beats.
With a PSR.
The church had
a keyboard.
Yeah, so now we infiltrated the church system so that we could have access to the tech. Because in church there was microphones, there's a PA, there's a recording deck, and there was now a PSR 500. Yamaha.
So what is it that you're doing now? You're making beats, and then what are you doing with the beats? And now people come in to sing on top of the beats?
No, we hadn't figured that out. So now at this point, we start wondering how is this gonna happen. So I'm gonna flash back to Hits Not Homework.
Okay.
So now I'm listening to Hits Not Homework. I'm telling you, Kenyan urban music has started coming out. So you had Swahili Nation, which was, what Tejisa was doing was abnormal at the time. But there was the Dandora sound, Keishaka. There were two pockets of people doing music. You had Zanaziki, but every time a Kenyan song came, you had Volume, you had Just the Equalizer. The sound was not the same. Then a song from the US comes, stereo, what? And I used to see that disparity. So what got me into now deeper, I asked myself, how hard is it to produce high quality? What's the issue? Why can't we get it the same? Because what I do know, we have good musicians. I've had good music, good enough vocals I've had, but somehow ikifika studio it just goes sideways. Kuna shida. So I said I'm going to learn what's up with this. So started researching studios in Kenya, started asking around where studios. I would go to
You're still in your teens. Let's be
I'm
clear.
still in my teens. I'm now about maybe 15, 16 thereabouts. I remember going to see, I don't know, do you know a guy called Franco, FM Squared, a guy who came, so there's a guy called Franco.
The musician Franco?
No.
Okay.
Franco owns a sound company. So before live gigs.
Yes, I remember Franco.
Yes, Franco.
In fact, we used to get gear from you during hip-hop days.
Yes.
What?
So,
I forgot Franco.
Exactly. In fact, when you've asked me that story, I've remembered. So I went to Musicland now to ask, where do you get your music from? Where do people produce? So Franco was a shop attendee at Musicland. He was a shelf keeper. That's how I met Franco the first time. And that's when he started telling me about, there's a studio in Kasanga, CG here. There's one in town called Creative Audiovisual, where Nairobi Cinema is. It's one of those buildings, but I think it was brought down. Then I was told about Guido Kibukosi and Suzanne Samawati. So those are the only studios I've been told. Then I think I was told about Jaco Dongos or something. So I started doing my rounds and just popping into the studios. That's when I met the Kanyotu. I visited Mzee Kanyotu. No, his father.
Babu Kanyotu.
Yes, father. I guess that Akina Lee and me, I guess we were all in school anyway. Yeah, so I went to his studio, I checked it out. Creative Audiovisual is a very commercial studio. Of course, I didn't know at the time because they didn't really do music. So they just did ads, videos, dubbing. So I didn't find it interesting. But when I went to Samawati.
Let me just understand. So you're just going to these studios and they're letting you in?
Yeah, so just saying hi. So you get to the reception. Hi, how are you? Good. Yeah, I want to see the studio. I don't know even what I used to tell them. I don't know. But somehow they'd say, yeah, come. I think maybe I was young. So there's that thing of like, okay, come. And who knows, maybe the scene was quiet at the time. Because I think the real studios and the real magic was happening on River Road. So this, can I say, the more fancy studios were like 4 or 5 maximum in Nairobi. But when I went to Samawati, I found music playing. It just seemed like there's a vibe. I said, yeah, this looks like the place I need to be at. Yeah, they had 2 studios. They seemed to be more vibrant and everything. Because when I went to Babu Kanyotu's, I think it was a choir recording that day or some Benga artist, and I was like, hey, that's not my scene, you know. But
Barbie.
I should have kept him close and with those rich Kuyo guys who runs things in Nyamakema. So eventually went to Samawati. I can't remember, but I found them doing a project that just sounded like, okay, this sounds interesting. I think it had a funk, there was a bit urban, there was something going on. And of course my memory is fudged, but also if I recall, I think I remember bumping into K South at some point. And I was there like, oh my God, this is where I need to be. Because I think K South had started, this is Bamboo. And what was Bamboo's partner called? Doobies.
Yeah. Abbas Kubaf.
And I think there was another guy.
Well, that time there were 3.
I think K South were 3. I could be wrong. But there was another guy. But it could be those guys who are always there. You know, there was always there. So I think I had them doing some hip-hop sound. But now Samawati didn't understand hip-hop. So it was a nice Afro sound. Then they're rapping. And I was just thinking, no. You just need kick, snare, siren. You know? I was just saying, Apana, you guys, there's a vibe not there. But I was still fascinated. So I remember just hanging out. Now, Samawati Studios was, I don't know if they're still there, where Riara Primary School is. So it was easy to kind of navigate. There was always activity. Because I think even kids sometimes used to come do stuff. So it was easy for me to be there. So I tell them, hi, I want to learn how to do production. So I think Guido comes out, tells me, you want to do what? You want to do production? Saying, what's your name? He interrogates me saying, boss, you're too young, or something like that. So I tell him, look, I'm not going to be a nuisance. I'll just sit out here. So the way the place is designed, outside the studio, basically the control room, there's a bench there where artists would hang out. So I just sit there and look through the window. And I used to go there every day. I'd wake up in the morning, and then I just go and sit and watch reel to reel. I think at the time, I think Gabriel Omondi used to do some session work there. Of course, Guido, the other engineers and producers whom I don't remember. I mean, at the time I knew who they were, but I mean, it's 25 years ago. So I just to hang out there. Then one day, Suzanne comes around. Suzanne is a very loving, open-hearted person. So she comes and says, hi, how are you? What are you doing? What are you doing? Are you hungry? I was so hungry that day for some reason. Said, yeah. She said, oh, come. So we went to our office. She said, hey, give him tea, give him lunch. What? So tell me about what you do. I just love music. I'm interested. Of course, I had a demo tape from the beats we had made at church. Said, yo, me, I want to be a producer. I want to learn this game. Yeah, even I have stuff. So she played back. Said, you made this? I said, how? I said, with a keyboard. What? Are you crazy? I said, yeah. I mean, so chat, convo. This stuff. Yeah. So come, sit in the studio. Let me tell you. The smell of tape, is, I'll never forget that smell. It's only nowadays we don't have it, but there's something about the smell of that magnetic tape. And I think I remember sitting one day in a session, and it could have been John Ozele or something. So some artists do a lot of jingles. So I remember seeing someone come by morning, they created the music. And Guido was eclectic, played the bass, played the keys, did this. And remember, it's tape to tape, so it's one take. A vocalist comes in, they do takes. Then by 4, we have a 30-second song. And I was like, my goodness, in the morning, it was air. Now we have a jingle. Then after a few days, I hear it on radio.
Hold on.
I just said, this is
insane.
Yeah.
They have... So you are no longer a fly on the wall. You're a fly on the wall, but inside.
Yeah, inside.
And now inside the studio.
Yeah.
And you're seeing all this happening.
Imagine.
And you're learning.
Yeah, and then remember, it's old school. So it's the days when it's all analog recording, which was so manual.
Yeah.
It's so much equipment, moving cables, patching stuff. And so I'm just looking and I'm in total shock. I remember I didn't even enter the recording booth for like a month. I just be told, just sit. As in now, she had crossed into the... Now I'm no longer in the elements. But me, I was happy. And I would go home. And remember, I'm in high school. So this is during the school holiday. Yeah. So guess where are you going? I say, I've told my sisters, I found a studio place I go to. That's it. And I'd leave and then come back home in the evening. That's all I used to do. There was no internet. So I was just learning. Then I started getting to know people here and there.
So at this time, did Samawati let you touch a keyboard? Did they let you know?
Not really. It was so intimidating. I didn't even want to touch.
And have you told Timo, you get me, I'm going here?
Can I remember? Yes, I think I'd mentioned to Timo because I think Timo came at some point. In fact, later, Timo was going to go work there.
So you started Samawati before even Timothy?
Yes.
Oh, that's crazy.
I was already in Samawati doing that because also Timo is slightly younger than me. So I think I don't even think he was in high school yet. Yeah, he might actually still have been in Primo because Timo must be 2 or 3 years younger, I think. So him Bado all this time. So me, I'm doing that. When I can, I go there, I pop in. Then I remember, so Guido Kibukosia and the late Bruce Odhiambo are best friends. So every evening at 5, they come for drinks. So that's the first time I met Bruce Odhiambo. But it's a funny story because later on, Bruce becomes an integral part of my story. But at the time, he's just one of the guys who come. Me, I don't know who Bruce Odhiambo is. I don't know the legend of Bruce. Just see him there. And they would come, and then Bruce was a very interesting guy, and also Guido. They had this thing of, so they grew up many of them grew up very humble lives. So they had a deep connection with their roots. So like Bruce grew up in Jericho. I think Guido had grown up in Shags. I can't remember. But so every Friday they used to go for, it's in Majengo. It's a place called Majengo Base for Mira. Every Friday they used to go. And they used to find it weird. I never got a chance to go with them. And they used to tell me the reason they always go back, it just reminds them. So when they come back to ball, they always know. They always know even 100 shillings is enough to live on. You know, it was very, very weird. But every Friday they used to go. And the Majengo guys would also come over some Fridays to the studio. So I would meet those guys. Like there's a guy called Mades. He's still there. But it was a very fascinating world I'd never known of. Just seeing these guys and trying to understand them. It's only later now I started learning that I was in the presence of
the
legends.
greats.
You know,
You
I
were
didn't
with
know.
the greats.
Yeah, just
In
guys
fact,
there.
How was it? Tell me, you know, because I've interviewed Suzanne, but
Yeah.
I've not had the opportunity to interview Guido.
Yes.
What was it like seeing him as a musician? Because I've had even Jaco Dongo has talked about his greatness.
Yeah, Guido was a true artist. He's a true artist in the sense of a creative. He's a true, very, very. It's just a ball of energy. Very interesting guy. Always laughing. Then one thing I noticed with Guido doesn't take life seriously. It's okay. We'll fix it. We'll sort it. I've seen him a tape katika, the real tape. It's okay. Let's start again. And the second version turns out better. He's just he's a musician at the core. So at this same time when I'm at Samawati, that's the time I think Zanaziki are also doing their first album. So Macharia is there. She's tracking. So you have Macharia, you have Suzanne, you have Guido. There's another lady. I know her face. I don't remember her name. Bruce would come in, do sessions once in a while. A couple of drummers. A couple of just some interesting characters whom of course I didn't know at the time, and yet our celeb culture Pulse had not started, radio had not blown up and stuff, so I really didn't know what was that. But for me it was such an exciting experience. So
And
I did that. I
learned
learned a lot.
like
I mean I can't do anything that reel to reel now anyway. But now interestingly at the same time there was a new gadget, a multi-track system made by a company called Tascam. The first, you'd use regular tape, but it allowed you 4 channels. So that's the first time I kind of got a sense of multi-track.
But even the fact that you know what multi-track is.
Yeah. So that's the first time I started understanding multi-tracks, and I used multi-tracks for a while. And I think it helped my transition to digital systems, because now all digital systems were built on the principle of the hardware. So for me, most of the concepts I understood. Yeah. So that was my scenario. Then, so all this is happening throughout high school. We're still doing things at church, but you can imagine everything is getting better.
Yeah, Born Twice hasn't recorded at this time.
No, we've not done.
But Born Twice.
Have we done anything yet? I don't remember. Maybe we have. Maybe I think we were Born Twice, or what we were doing beats and writing, because we were alleged. So Timo and I used to rap, and we used to perform in church, but with our own original beats. So we'd make our beats, put on tape, then we live track to our beats, and that's how Akina Big Ted heard about us, because guys would come for church or a youth function, a variety show, or we visited another church. Hey, when us we get on stage to rap, hey, guys are saying, hey, where those beats are not, because everyone else would use either cover beats, ours were original. So word started getting around. So guys now started calling us, and that's why we started getting excited and saying, yo, we're gonna run. Naively at the time, we're gonna be the next Bad Boy Records. Yeah, of course we didn't know much about it. But for me, like I said, I would not consider myself a creative. Let me tell you, by the time I was in, probably now, I can't remember when I read the book. I remember I bought a very serious book about the music industry, how it works, like a 700-page book. I don't even know where that book is, but I went, looked for it, and I found it, or I sent for it or something, and it explained, I understood royalties, rights, and I'm about 19. So maybe before I got into the industry, I totally understood the ecosystem. And I just find it fascinating, because I'll talk to people, and I'd say, yeah, so publishing, what guys are like, huh? And it's to be okay, but I totally understood it. And actually, for me, I was very much drawn to the business side of entertainment. And I think till now, that's why I've stayed. I think that's the space I've always been. That so music, and
creatively, twice. Were you experimenting on other things aside just music?
Yeah, I would say I was. I think so what over the years I've come to learn, at the core, I'm a problem solver. I love solving problems. So I like seeing a challenge and then diving into it and trying to figure out how this. And you remember, for me, how I got into production was to know how can I make a Kenyan song sound good.
Yes.
I was not going. Some artists have a story, have a song, have a nagging earworm. Me, it was just, why can't our music sound like that? So it is the pursuit of fixing that I got into the game. So I think at the time, I used to try to do my art thing, Of course, I was trying to do the music thing
What
in
do you mean,
church.
your art thing?
Yeah, so I used to paint, I used to sketch. So there's a thing I used to do. I loved basketball. And however, when I watched the basketball, my eyes are on the lower part of the screen. I never watched the game. I used to watch the shoes.
The shoes. The shoes.
Yes,
the shoes.
because for me, basketball,
shoes.
used to watch NBA at the time.
Yep. Sunday on KBC.
Yeah, and this is the Chicago Bulls era. So, I mean, the NBA season, and it was the turn of when now the brand started endorsing players. Because before, teams, it was team uniform. So if it's a team is sponsored by Reebok or Nike, you just wear standard issue, red, white, blue. So I even remember those days when Michael Jordan started wearing his shoes and he'd change and he used to say, what is that magic on his feet? And I loved it. So I used to sketch shoes. I started designing shoes. And I used to create shoes, sneakers, low tops, high tops, and sketch. And
everything
understand
360, the whole thing.
Front view, side view, rear view, back view. I remember there's a neighbor of mine who they are well-to-do, and I think their mom worked maybe for KQ or an airline. So they would always go and come back with all these catalogs. And I remember there's a big catalog in UK called Argos that had everything.
Yes.
It's what Amazon is now,
Yeah.
but on hard copy. So I would just jump to the sneaker section and sit and study that for long. And I loved design. I loved creation. I loved this. And I loved sneakers so much. And it actually dawned on me, this is what I want to do. So for a very long period, this is still in high school. So for a very long period, I've decided I want to do this. So you can imagine now.
So you want to sketch sneakers and you want to design
and manufacture
sneakers.
and create. I want to be a shoe designer.
You want to be Kanye Yeezys.
Not even, forget even Yeezy. There's another guy, in fact, I was watching on this Netflix show, Abstract, the guy who designed the Jordans. Yeah. That's the guy, Kanye is just, Kanye is something else. But I wanted to be the guy that constructs, chooses the colors, or why should the laces be here, why can't they be here? And I was fascinated by the technology because it was an unusual time. I mean, the sneaker, even now.
And by the time you're saying this is what I want to do, who are you looking at in Kenya that's showing you that this is possible?
No, I don't have, so when I go to the stores, the only option is butter. People like, what is it? They called Skywalk, So there was only Lomans. There's just a few power. We're trying to do something. But at this time, first, for me, it's just an expression. I love it. It's a hobby. I enjoy doing it. Then I started now trying to understand actually how is this process. So there's one design I had done. Then I saw a sneaker launched by Adidas, or it was Puma, one of the two, and it was so close to my design. You know, those you have to go back and say no. So I went and looked, and I was like, goodness. So I think Timo would probably remember, because I think I used to show them, say, guys, look. Couple of guys, and they say, oh, dope. But I guess it was as much as other kids were drawing cars, concept cars. Me, I was drawing concept sneakers. So a point came, I said, no, I'm going to do this thing. So now I think I'm around 18 now, 19. I'm thinking, okay, this could be a thing. So I'm now seriously considering this. And for me, I've always felt that I was an old soul in terms of even my friends on average were always 3-4 years older than me. I rarely hung out with my age mates. I found them very, conversation was very, I don't know, I've always been drawn by older people, hearing their stories, learning from them. For one reason or another. Even in high school, Form 1, my posse were Form 4 students. And you can imagine, and I'm in high school, you have Dago, you have KJ, Mdomobagi. Waire was my desk mate, by the way. Waire was my desk mate in Dago, and my cube mate, my bunk mate. So we're in the same class with Waire in high school. So at the time, he was into the singing more, but I used to do the production work on holidays. So I'd come tell him, hey, listen to these beats. But he even had like a group or something. But he always loved the singing side. He was in mass choir, mixed choir. He was all over the place, But I don't even think he realized what I was doing. We met later on. Like 4 years later, we work together now. But he was the one now deep. I mean, at that time, it was just band. And the reason I was in band, we went for funkies. So we left every weekend. Then band members wore trousers throughout. We didn't have to wear shorts. So it had its two privileges.
Your problem solving
then special diet. So like I said, for me, most things was always, I had the end in mind. So where was I on the issue of the shoes? So the shoes I designed. Then I started doing research. I think internet has started sort of becoming a bit more accessible. So of course, cyber cafes at the time. So when I saw that shoe, I was very validated. I said, okay, if these guys can make something that looks similar to mine, then maybe I'm onto something. To some weird shoe with waves, and because now you see, I'd studied all designs, then I'll try and say, okay, let me push, because clearly anything goes now. And I think what had happened in the shoe industry, cutting machines had improved. So those are like a renaissance in sneaker design.
I remember the Pippins. Is it the Air? The ones written Air.
Yeah.
And the Grant Hills.
Grant Hill, that was something else. So what happened when that happened, I started asking who makes shoes in Kenya. So there was, I think, either they are called, I think, C&P, they're still there, and Bata were the only two people. I think I tried going to C&P, I couldn't get an audience in Inda. I went to Bata, I got an audience. I sat with them, I told them this is what I'm thinking, these are the shoes. They told me, problem is us, we import, net import. The only shoe we make in Kenya are safari boots, and I think one other shoe. But I went to Bata, and I was telling them, let's collaborate. And I was telling them, we'll do a rev share. Because I understood, I knew there's something around IP and rights. I knew you don't sell the
that
idea.
Book had taught you.
Yeah,
it's
that book had taught me.
It's the same as music.
Yes,
intellectual property.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that book covered publishing, IP, patents. It was just an orange book. I don't know what it's called. Never seen it again. But I think actually I didn't buy it. Someone gave it to me. I saw it with someone and they told me, read this book. And I couldn't understand even the English at the time, but I was getting the gist. And it was based on stories of how artists would be paid advances, they overspend. So I had a very innate sense of that. So I went to Bata, they gave me that story, and it was very half-baked and everything. Then one day I said, you know what, I don't think anyone in Kenya gets it. So what did I do? I took my best designs, I redrew them now clear, put them in an envelope. I wrote a letter to Nike. I think I sent an envelope to Nike. I think I sent to Reebok, to High Tech. I think I just sent to the big brands at the time. Adidas, let's see, because you could find the addresses online. So I just offered money for stamp and I sent. And that was it. And it kind of faded off. So I think now music started kind of taking a bit more of my time. And I think after my convos with Bart, I started realizing maybe it's not going to happen. Then one day I get a letter. My dad brings me an envelope. It's from the US. And has the Nike logo. So I was like, snap. Oh, snap.